The defendant will please stand. In the District Court of El Paso County, Texas, 409th Judicial District, the State of Texas versus Daniel Villegas, number 94-0D09328. Verdict Form B. We, the jury, find the defendant Daniel Villegas not guilty of...
What's up, everybody? I'm Blessed and Free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. So a big reason on why I created this channel was to expose the corruption that goes on in prison. But there's a lot of corruption that goes on, and it's even in the criminal justice system. And this case right here definitely shows how corrupt the system is. Man, I know you got a crazy case. Just tell them like your name and where you're from.
So my name is Daniel Villegas, and I'm out of El Paso, Texas. We're a border city.
So growing up to the time you got arrested, what kind of life were you living, like, you know, on the street? Like, were you going to school? Were you getting in trouble? Like, what was your life like then?
I had a paradise kind of life, I guess you can say, because I was a troublemaker. I was a class clown. I wasn't so much, you know, I was a Joker type troublemaker though. You know, I wasn't so I would always be playing around. I was that lucky go guy, right? And I grew up in Central El Paso, which is, you know, predominantly, I mean, it's basically just none but Mexicans, you know. We have very few other race out there. So it's, and then me, I'm white as hell with, like, back then I had this big old freaking Ronald McDonald red hair. And I got these freaking, like, green hazel eyes, you know. So, you know, I stood out like a sore thumb. So I would always get picked on and stuff, you know, and then I had a speech impediment, you know, and this was way back in the 80s, you know, when they didn't know about all this stuff. So they thought I couldn't speak English. So they put me in this international class. So that made it even worse, you know. But that's how my life was growing up until my preteens. Once I had my preteens, we decided to move out of the central area of El Paso and move into the Northeast. Northeast is more... we have a big base over here, Fort Bliss. So Northeast is a lot of Army people and stuff. So it's real diverse as far as races go. So this was like a whole new world to me. Even though it was in the same city, I was in a class with white people, Chinese people. I had freaking all kinds of people all over me, you know. And I was like, what the heck's going on? And then everybody speaks English, you know. So that was a trip too. So I was like, holy crap, this is pretty badass.
But when you got arrested for the case that you ended up going to prison for, like, how did all that go down? Like, so the people, you know, watching at home can understand, like, what did you go through that day when they arrested you?
Well, yeah, you know, you have to go back in them days. It was a late 80s, early 90s era, you know, when gangs were you know, they're pretty relevant. They were like real heavy back then, right? They were like, everybody, you know, your football star jock wasn't the cool guy back in them days. You know, it was the guy who was spray painting on the wall and stuff and stabbing people. So going into the Northeast, like I said, it was a whole different world. It was like a jungle, and it was wild, and it was a lot of gangs in that area, and it was the worst area in El Paso. In fact, you know, we would have more murders in 1 month than El Paso would have in a year in that area. So it was real tough too. So that's how I grew up, you know. So I always grew up fighting as a kid because, you know, looking white and stuff, and then coming to this environment, now it kind of changed. It wasn't race now, it was gangs now, you know. Now you're not fighting because I'm, you know, what you are. Now you're fighting because I represent this, you represent that, you know. So that's how it went. And then, like I said, but the reason why I said earlier was I had like a kind of like a paradise type of world, because in my mind, I came from you know, my family wasn't, you know, a lot of our family was in the military and stuff like that. So we had a lot of pride in America. We had a lot of pride in our flag and all that, you know. So my dream was to become a Marine. You know, that was my dream. Even though I was screwing up, at the end of the day, I said, you know, one day I'm going to change. I'm going to be a Marine, you know, and I'm going to go out there and kick ass for my country. So I thought it was just going to be a little phase I went through as a teenager, and I'll outgrow it. But before I could outgrow it, I ended up getting charged for 2 capital murders that I didn't commit. And what happened then was, like I said, like gang murders were they were just wild back then. So when these kids got killed, the thing that made this story hit real big news in El Paso was because they weren't gang members. You know, it was kids trying to walk home from a party, and then these other guys shot them up.
Were the guys that shot them up gang members?
Yes, and they were gang members, you know.
Oh, yeah, so they're definitely bringing the heat.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, you know, to make a short story, so, I mean, what happened was, I ended up, getting arrested for this, right? And then when I got arrested for this crime, we really didn't think it was going to go far. We thought that, because like I said, we were raised in America. And I mean, when I say raised in America, I mean in that we had, we did the Veterans Day, Memorial Day, like we were for our military. That's how I was raised, even though, and then like I said, in that area with that, it was a lot of military people there. So you always see people in military suits. So it was always, I was raised in that, that preteen always had that. So I always had faith in my system. I always thought that America, we were the best of the best and we weren't going to get it. We never get it wrong.
So when you say that you had faith in the system, you mean like after you got arrested and you're in jail, you had faith that the system would work on your end and you would be acquitted and be released?
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought. I thought, it's just dirty cops that got me, but at the end of the day, the system's going to fix it.
How long did you sit in county jail for fighting the murders?
I went into county jail when I was 16. I got certified as an adult, and it took me from the detention center to the county jail. Once I went into the county jail, I stood there for about almost 5-6 months, and then they hadn't indicted me yet. So at that point, I was going to bond hearings after bond hearings, right? And every time I go to a bond hearing, they were denying me. I had like a parade of people out there protesting against me, So, and then back then it was corrupt. It was real corrupt. I mean, the police were corrupt. Our system was corrupt. I mean, it was signing. If they want to convict you because you pissed off a police officer, they'll just get a judge to sign off and then go get your ass and convict you, and then you're gonna go to prison. 5-10 years,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's the way it was back then. It was a piece of shit system, but I was totally blind to that until I actually went into that piece of shit system and learned it for myself.
Yeah, and that's why I created this channel, man, because a lot of people, man, they never get to see what goes on the inside. So when they're on the outside and they're looking in, they're like, man, they're just saying that shit. It ain't really like that. You know what I mean? And they have all the faith, but you and me know, you know what I'm saying? It don't work like that on the inside.
And that's exactly what happened to me, and I had to and it was just my timing. Like, it was like if it was just set up for me to go to prison. Like the DA it was just a brand new guy that just got into office, right? And then that's how that's how we got into office. He was going to be that tough guy on crime. And I was the first big case he got. So he was going to make an example too, So I had like everything against me at that time. It was crazy, man. It was like a freaking horror movie.
When you went to, I'm taking it that you went to trial with these charges, right?
Yes. We ended up having to, my parents actually, because, I was juvenile, they ended up having to refinance the house and to get a loan. And then we hired an attorney. And then with that attorney, we went to trial in 94. Which I got arrested in 93. I went to trial for that capital murder, them 2 capital murders, 94. And then I got a hung jury. So then in that hung jury, that my lawyer tells me, hey, man, in 3 months, I'll get your charges dropped. Well, it so happened like a month and a half, 2 months later, I get re-indicted. And then when I get re-indicted, I get a phone call from him. And he's like, look, we're getting re-indicted. And so he has to charge us again for another trial. And well, we didn't have the money. Like I said, I had got out of jail 5 months after I was incarcerated because when they transferred me to the adult system, they didn't indict me. So remember, I was going through all them bond hearings and they were denying me. But at the end of the day, when they had forgot to indict me, even though I went through I don't know how many bond hearings, that tells you how stupid that system was back then. I went through probably 3 freaking bond hearings, everybody, and these idiots still hadn't indicted me yet. You know what I mean? With their freaking mad mother signs and shit, telling me to lock me up forever. Come on, man. They don't even know the story. That's what pisses me off the most too, that people are so blind. They got a heart. They want to do the right thing, but they don't even want to listen. They're just in the moment, And you don't realize when you're in the moment, you're fucking somebody's life over. You're fucking a kid's life over who's gonna have to go to fucking prison for 20 goddamn years. And then when it comes out, say, hey, we're fucking sorry. Well, fuck, I didn't get my fucking 20 years back with your goddamn I'm sorry.
Yeah, bro.
I didn't get to raise my with your I'm sorry. I can't take an IOU with that. But it's going into another thing. I mean, but that's the way it is, so it was bad back then. So anyway, they were all against me and I was shit kicked without a freaking paddle.
After what got the hung jury, I'm assuming the state got their shit together and brought you back to trial, right?
Yeah. And then so my lawyer tells the judge, and this goes to show you how fucked up that system is again, tell the judge, hey, he's a juvenile. His parents had to pay for me the first time. I have to recharge. They can't afford it. Can you just put me as the lawyer at the corner appointed? She says no, takes him off, and then gives me this freaking idiot that looks like he's been in the freaking IRS all his life and is ready to retire. And then that dude goes to freaking court. You know, the thing that probably convicted me the most was his stupid statement and closing arguments when he says, and even if he didn't do it, I mean, even if he did do it, he didn't mean to kill the guys. Like, you just told the goddamn jury that I'm guilty right there.
He definitely did that. Isn't that what did your attorney like say? Isn't that leading? Like leading them into like the fact like you killed the dude or whatever?
No, that was my defense said that.
Your defense attorney told the jury even.
Yes. That wasn't the prosecutor.
Bro, listen, you weren't snapping in court?
Shit, I was 16. I was like 18, man. When he said that statement, I was in shock. I was like, I didn't even know what the hell was going on. And then, you know, it wasn't 2 years later, you know, when I think about it in the pain that, you know, when all these stats come. But at that time, I was a scared 18-year-old kid. I was like, what the
when you're that age and that shit's happening, like it's almost like it's like a movie while it's happening, and then like 2 hours later it fucking hits you. And I remember shit being like that for me too, man. You're like, I know that you're like in that deer in the headlights moment, man.
Exactly. And you know, you don't process it till you actually go to your cell, you know, and then you start processing everything. Because even when you get the sentence, you know, when I got that life sentence, it like I really didn't process it till I went back. Okay,
so you ended up getting sentenced to life at that trial?
Yeah.
Damn, dog. All right, man. So tell the people, man, that are watching, like, I mean, the first week after you got sentenced to life in prison, like, what was going through your head, man? Like, I can't even imagine. So, and I'm sure it's hard for you to explain it, but if you can, explain it the best way you can.
Yeah, I was, what happened was I went back to I went because I was on the home arrest monitor. So it was kind of harder too. So when I got convicted, I had to go back to jail, right? So that sucked. But when I went there, I already had it. Like when I was in the holding tank, it was already hit my mind. Yeah, you know, because you're in the free world and then you come in. It's different when you're already in jail and they convict you. You know, you're already in jail. But when you come from that you just freaking smoke the damn joint, and then you're over here going to freaking booking, and then you're going to booking for the rest of your damn life. You're like, fuck, I should have smoked this before I went to court. You know? Yeah. But like I said, so when I went there, during the walk and all that, you know, I just basically told myself, man, that, you know, my life's over. I'm fucked. You know, there's no going back. The system's fucked. I'm fucked. And I said, you know, so I'm just gonna make the best of it. I'm gonna be the best fucking convict there is, and the dirtiest motherfucker there is. And I'm gonna. I was gonna not just survive. I was gonna excel. You know, I was gonna make my mark in there. You guys said that this is what I am? Okay, motherfuckers, I'm going to show you who the fuck you just said I am. I'm going to be that person you guys just said, because I don't know who the fuck that person is, but I'm going to find out who he is right now. And that's how I went into prison with that mentality. So when we went in there, you know, our first prison was called Burning Hell, right? And it's like 15 of us, all of us barely getting there. And half of these guys already been locked. They've come from TYC, that's a juvenile prison. And they already made 18, so they're hitting a real prison now, right? Because their sentence is so big. So half of them already been down. They already have years on their belt, and then the other half of us are just coming in. So when we're walking in there, the guard stops us, right? He says, look, he said, before I open this door, he says, every one of you motherfuckers are going to get your ass kicked. Half of you are going to get raped, and 2 of you are going to come out dead in the morning. Do not come crying to me or my officers, because we are not your mama. We ain't your papa. You shouldn't have done what the fuck you did or come to the burning hell. Come in with your gloves on. Get ready to fight. And that son of a bitch wasn't lying. As soon as that motherfucker opened that goddamn door and we passed that processing and they actually put us in population, it was on and popping. I walked in that damn thing with my bunk. And, you know, we're in the day room and I got to wait till they do the in and out to go to my cell, right? So I put the shit down, and then this dude hits me and be like, where you from, Missy? And I'm like, shit, Paso, what's up? And then he's like, oh, okay, come here. These are the homeboys over here. So I go over there, and then they're like, where you from? And I'm like, El Paso. And then this dude hits me from the back, right? Boom. And then this other dude gets me. And then before you know it, 3 dudes just whipping on me, right? So I'm like fighting, and then you got everybody in the fucking day room, and you got to think, you got these big old fucking gorilla motherfuckers. You got these big old white dudes with the fucking swastikas on them, and everybody's fucking saying, knock them out and fuck them. You know what I mean? I'm fucking going off the fucking chain, and I'm literally fighting and praying at the same time. I'm like, God, I can take any fucking ass whipping all day. Just don't get me knocked out, because if I'm knocked out, then I'm fucked. Literally.
Yeah.
So after that was done, you know, I'm all leaking and shit. And then that same dude comes up to me like, look out, little homie, man. It don't gotta be that bad, man. All you gotta do is bust or fuck. I'm like, yeah, I was like, bitch,
so he's coming over to you trying to talk you into like what, making a fucking deal?
Yeah, he wants me to either, you know, pay protection or be somebody's bitch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Fuck that.
So
yeah,
I'm catching my breath, and he's telling me this, right? So when he's saying that, I just look at him, right? And I'm like, shit. I'm like, bitch, I got a life sentence. You know what I'm saying? My parole officer ain't even born yet, bitch. So they hit me again, 3 fresh other dudes. And then that was done. And then, you know, it was the whole fucking thing again, man. Knock them out and fuck them. And then that was over with. And then that dude came to me again, and I was like, don't even waste your fucking breath, bro. I'm not knocked out yet. Let's go. That's how it was. I mean, after all that, it was 3 guys, 3 times, 3 different sets, and then they're like, okay, you're down. You're not gonna bite. You know, we ain't gonna break you. You're good to go.
So yeah, them doing that is kind of like how they do it in Florida JIT camps, which is like they were basically doing that to test your heart, to see what you were about.
Yeah. And everybody did that. I mean, I didn't give a damn how big you were, how small you were. You came from this prison, and you try to say I was such and such Billy Bob at this and this. Well, Billy Bob, you're in the burning hell now, so we got to test you up.
You said before in the interview that when you got sentenced and you got to prison, like you were ready to be the best convict you could be. So what did that entail, man, in the next upcoming years in your prison sentence? Like, how did that start developing? And, you know, what was that like?
Well, that started developing. Like, I would watch everybody. I'm a good watcher. And I would just watch who's who, what's what. And then I just started getting into the game. You know, like, you got to remember, at this time, I was miserable. Like, you see me now, I got to shine. I'm happy. I went through hell, going through trying to become this person now, right? But back then, I was a miserable piece of shit. And I didn't give a fuck. Misery loves company, you know? So I was trying to learn the dice game. I was going to get into every fucking thing there was to get into. When them new guys came in, I was going to hit them. You know what I'm saying? Everything. You know, I was the fool that, you know, was always putting shit in the game. You know, all the homeboys would tell me, hey, man, carnalito, y que corra. And I would be like, ora, that's hard, right? I'd be like, ora, homes. I'm like, you say that shit for your bitch when you go to the home, to the free will, homie. You know, ain't no fucking love in prison, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Fuck your quota, Holmes. You know what I'm saying? Just stay down and shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Watch me, because I'm going to hit this dice right now. And you know this motherfucker likes to hit that goddamn dice.
Yeah. So were you like putting down on the new guys, like robbing their shit?
You did it all. You know, you did it. And then, you know, Texas at that time, Texas was real bad at that time. I mean, the system that we have now in Texas is totally different back then. Back then, it was a hell of a system. People were getting killed. I mean, you can look it up on the freaking internet. I mean, there was death for a freaking handball game. Somebody would die. You know what I mean? I mean, it was just violent. So that's how you're raised in that environment, and that's how you know. You know, and then I'm always going to close custody and all that stuff. You know, so it ain't nothing but like, it ain't nothing but blacks. You know what I mean? And in close custody and all that. So you're always steady fighting with them. Then before you know it, you're part of them. You know what I mean? And then shit, you guys are doing shit together to other idiots, you know?
When you were in there, what do you think made Texas prison so violent when you were in compared to what it is now?
They didn't give a damn back then. You know, they didn't care. You know, like I said, the officers had a ring. They had a gambling ring. You know, have you ever seen the people that go out to we call it the whole squad? You guys probably have it, because Florida and Texas are almost the same system, believe it or not.
Oh, I know. I've heard.
The way the system is too, you know, even the way you guys deal with your stuff in there and the way we deal with our stuff out here, you know, in prison in Texas, it's almost similar. But That's how, like, out there they had, so when you go out to the fields to work, they had a ring, they had them officers, they had their fighters, they had fighters that would fight for them, and they would gamble out there with us, you know what I mean? And then they would get trainers to train us, so when we go out there and fight, and then when we'd fight, because back then, they didn't have tobacco and all that shit. So if you lost the fight, you got 5 cans, 5 bugler, or not the bugler, the tobacco, the chewing one. You got what would they call
chew, Red Man.
Yeah, you got 5 cans, right, of that.
Yep.
Out 1 can you can make $50 when you bust it up into balls, right? So basically you have 5 cans and add that times 50. And if you want to fight, you had 10 cans. And you got to think, your officer's giving it to you. So when you come back in, they're giving it to you inside.
Oh, getting it in ain't a problem then.
Yeah, and then you got to think, I mean, these guys are gambling probably thousands of freaking dollars, and they're giving you freaking $20 worth of freaking bugler cans or whatever. And you think you got to come up.
Lose, dog.
So yeah, it was a bad system, man. And so anyway, so this officer, he seen me, and he cut it for me. And he told me, he said, you know what, man, I want to make it to one of my gladiators. And I said, and he said, I know you got a life sentence. I looked at your record. He said, and I'm going to tell you right now, I can make your life a living hell, or I can make your fucking life a blessing. And I was like, well, fuck, let's make this bitch a blessing and see what's up.
Hallelujah.
So you got me this guy Turbo, right? This white dude, man. He's a freaking, like, this dude is not. He was an ex-Marine, man. And oh man, this guy's I love him to this day, man. That was my brother. I mean, this fucker would make me throw up and call me a pussy and go wipe your mouth, pussy, and come back out and give me 100 more burpees. But he loved that shit out of me, and he made me into a rock, man. And he would always get these dudes to beat me up and stuff, and he'll be like, okay, this is how you do it. But and he just trained me, man. He trained me how to, he was just training me the whole time, man. And he showed me how to do my thing and how to fight, and he told me how to take blows and stuff. And I did that for years until they finally got rid of that system. I stood in there for a long time, and that's when all the hell broke loose. Because when all that shit, when the Texas prison changed and it wasn't as violent, then that's when, oh man, I was living in hell then, because I wasn't used to that lifestyle. I was used to always the violence, the freaking adrenaline. So now it's not as bad as that no more. It was like, freak, man. You start thinking about your time. But back then I didn't have time to think about my life standard because I'm too busy trying to hustle the next guy. You know what I mean? And now I can't hustle the next guy. So now I'm like, freak, man, I got freaking 14, 15 years, and I still got another freaking 45 to go, 30 years to go. You start thinking this, then you start looking at everybody, the people who've been there for 30 years, and you're like, fuck, I'm gonna end up like that son of a bitch,
Like, were you doing appeals when you were in prison? Like, what was going on with your case?
I didn't even touch my case. Like I said, I didn't even touch it. When they gave me that life sentence, I had no more faith. I went in there, and in my mind, I was gonna die in prison. That was it. I didn't touch my case. The only reason why I touched my case was because of my family they were sending letters to all these innocent projects, and then we're getting denied, and then this guy named John Membella, he's a big businessman over here in El Paso. He ends up marrying my ex-sister-in-law. So when they're dropping off the kids at the house, my parents and them are crying, and they tell him my story, and he's like, hey, well, let me look into it. So then when he looks into it, and he's like, holy shit, this dude's fucking innocent. So he thought, well, fuck, I'm going to get him out, right? So then he comes to me, and he tells me this, and I'm looking at him like...
You don't think you're getting out, right?
Yeah, good luck with that, it's not going to happen.
Man, you were done, huh? You gave up.
Man, I was a miserable piece of shit, man, and that's why it was so freaking hard to change. It was so hard to change because now when I have my kids, and they show me love again. I didn't have no love back then, so when they show me love, I had to go back to when you change, you have to face your demons. So I had to face everything I did in there, and I couldn't put like. In your mind, when you're doing this shit, you're thinking it's for survival. And then when I'm out here, when I was thinking about it, I was like, fuck, I fucked all these freaking, oh my fucking God, I did all this stupid shit to these fucking people. And it was instead of it being them people, I seen my kid's face on them, And I was like, this is somebody's child. This is somebody, and it killed me. And then I would talk to my boss, and then he would be like, it was survival, bro. And I'm like, no, it wasn't, bro. If you break it down, it wasn't survival. It was just because we're miserable, and we wanted others to be miserable with us, man. And when you realize that that's why it is, it's not because we do that stupid shit in prison because it's survival. The real basic concept is because we're miserable pieces of shit, so we just want to let that go. Then, it really hurts you to really think about the stupid shit you did because you never would think you would go that low. And then you think, how the hell can I raise back up from that? Did
you try to make a change while you were in prison, or is the change you're speaking on like the day you got out?
Not even the day I got out, man. It took like about a year or something after that.
All right. So you got out of prison. And then you started, you were just doing whatever the fuck you wanted, and then you realized like I can't.
Not too much, but what I wanted, because I was still facing the murder case, but I still had that prison mentality. You know what I mean? That don't get behind me, and you're too cool to freaking. You're at the you're seeing that you're with your family and stuff, and you're like this against the wall, like I had that stupid mentality, and I had to get rid of it, and to get rid of it, I had to realize that I had to kill that convict. That convict cannot live no more. He served his purpose. It's no longer needed.
Amen to that.
To become a successful citizen, you have to kill that convict because everything, empty out the whole goddamn cup and just start all over again.
A lot of guys, when they get out of prison, go back because that exact reason that you're saying right now, you get out. And once you've been in that atmosphere and that culture, like you're saying, man, like you always think someone's got a motive. You're always like, who's behind me? Like, I want to know who this dude is, where he come from, what's her name? Like, that's how I was. And some guys can't break that, man. So salute to you, man, for being able to break that. That you got good willpower, because most people can't.
It wasn't me, man. It was my wife and my kids. I couldn't have done it. It was them. It was doing it because I knew this is who I had to be. This is who I had to be to make it out of this. And then once I started doing it, though, it felt so freaking amazing. It felt so good. And it was like, I look back now at that idiot, and I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking, dude? Like, what? You did it, but you're still telling yourself so how can I explain to you what the hell I'm thinking if I don't even know what the hell I was thinking, but because it's just a messed up way to think. And that's how and being out here, like I said, you have to think different. Like now I deliberately sit where I have to have people behind my back and everything. Now I deliberately do things that were my comfort zone. I do things to get out of that comfort zone. Like, when it's dancing and stuff, at a party, I don't stay stiff-necked. I look at my girl, come on, baby, let's go dance. I don't care if I look like an idiot no more. You know what I'm saying? I don't prove myself already. I don't care what you guys think no more. You know what I'm saying?
You said some real shit right there. So the best feeling anyone could ever feel is to not give a fuck about what somebody else thinks, because a lot of people say they don't, but they really do. And someone always got something to say. So
exactly. And it's like you and your show, you know what I mean? Look at your show. You're going to have a lot of people hating on you for this show because they hate to see you succeed, brother.
Yeah.
But to be on top, you got to have a tough skin and say, hey, I don't give a damn if you hate it or not. I'm still at Malibu with baby girl.
In the Cadillac. All right, man. Yeah. So what other issues did you have when you got out of prison with adjusting back into society?
One of the worst thing was having not to just depend on, through all prison, you only depend on yourself. You don't have to worry about nobody else. So being out here and having my kids and everybody depending on me, and having that their meal, everything, like their clothes, their shoes, the birthday parties and all that stuff, that all that's going to happen, doing that was a major adjustment, but that adjustment was an amazing one. It wasn't a messed up one. Like I really, even my wife would tell you, I would really love to pay my bills because I never was able to work and pay my bills. So now I'm making money, and I like going over there and saying, here, that's my cash. I did that.
And you feel better about yourself when you have stuff that you worked for and that you earned it. It wasn't given to you. Like, you had to really go out there and grind and get it. It makes you appreciate all that stuff a lot more.
Oh yeah, it does. It really does. I mean, it's because when I first came out, I wasn't working at a law firm. I was doing construction work, concrete, and I was breaking stuff up every damn day, and then still hitting the gym. It was hell.
So out of all your time in prison, what was the craziest thing you saw, man?
The craziest thing I saw was how people can just literally just take somebody out of the game for some stupidity.
Over a soup.
Yeah, over a soup, and then, it's just ridiculous. That was the most stupidity I've ever seen in there. I mean, they had a freaking riot in Smith, Texas, and it's all over the news way back in the night. A dude got killed, all that because of some dude masturbating in the freaking chow hall. Those were the stupidity, that's the stupidity I always would see. Why would you do some stupid shit like that, knowing you put all these people's lives in danger? You know what I mean? And I mean, that's it. Like I said, Texas prison, you can die at a drop of a dime. You always have to stay on your toes. It's totally different now, but back then it was bad.
When you were in Texas prison, was gangs running the prison at that time?
Oh yeah, gangs are always gonna be around. You know what I mean? Even now, they don't have the same old gangs that they had back in the Texas prison. They got new gangs in that prison now that took over the old gangs. And they don't consider themselves a gang, and stuff like that. So, and then it's always gonna be like that in prison. The prison's always gonna have that gang mentality and all that stuff.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, listen, I'd like to have you back on the show to talk more about, what you went through on the inside, and then also what ended up happening with your case. But I just want to thank you for coming on the channel, man. Do you have any social media you want to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, Proclaim Justice. Everybody can find me there. That's the Innocent Project that helped me get out. And that project is so amazing because. And not only did they help me get out, but once I was free, they helped me adjust. They were always there for me, helping me adjust. If I needed something, they were always there for me. Even when it came down to my trial, they were there for me when I made the decision to take it to trial and not accept the Alfred plea. So,
right, yeah. So I'll go ahead and drop the link to that in the description of this video. If you're new, man, and you're tuning in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you've enjoyed this episode, give this video a thumbs up. And with that, it's DOC TV, and we're out.